It's still one goal, and it's because it's the Cup. Just saying. No matter what you do with the damn team, the goal is to win the Cup. Just saying. With that, we welcome you to a lovely new episode of Pucknology After Dark. I know we're not on after a game for once, it's a surprise, but what we're doing is we're kind of recapping the Stadium Series and getting you prepped for the trade deadline and the Wings tomorrow. So if you are a newcomer to the show, welcome. Use the hashtag PucknologyAfterDark or contact one of us. You have AJ underscore strong, Chris JWS, or yours truly, PuckGuy14. Let's go around the horn. AJ, good evening.
Oh, bienvenue, willkommen, how are you?
Very nice. Oh my god. And Chris, you're back home. How's everything?
Good as always. A little bit sick, but pushing through.
That's right, because unlike some people, we give 110% 100% of the time. With that being said, we'll go back to Saturday night, the big extravaganza at Levi's Stadium, where the Sharks lost to the Los Angeles Kings 2-1 in front of 70,205 people. Apparently, I heard that it is the largest crowd to gather for an event at Levi's Stadium. It is also the third largest crowd to watch an NHL game. And unless one of those stadiums that's going to be built in LA gets to host an outdoor game or the Rose Bowl, it will become the largest crowd to watch a game in the state of California and likely not to be broken.
That's right, take that, LA.
That's right. Oof, we're telling them. So, guys, now we've had a few days to recover from the tragedy that was this game. Your thoughts? I mean, there's no immediate anger out of it anymore, but I mean, that was a very devastating loss for the Sharks as they hit as they head towards the fourth quarter of their season.
Well, I gotta say, I thought Niemi after that second goal should have been serving ice cream because he looked like Mr. Softy. That was a soft goal. And I will say both of those goals, Burns was out of position. I know that they want to continue with Burns at defense, but how many more mistakes? Yeah, I understand he's like third in defenseman for points and everything like that, but I'd really like to see the stats for every time he gets burned on a goal. He's a fun to watch power forward, not the most defensively capable defenseman. I'm hoping that something happens in the offseason, that Doug Wilson is able to pull a rabbit out of the hat and figure out a way to get Burns back to the forward position. However, if you look at it, the Sharks are so painfully in need of defense that I can't see Burns being moved back, unfortunately. But, man, that second goal, that was harsh.
Yeah, that second goal kind of put the wind out of their sails, and if anybody watched episode 4, the final episode of Road to the Stadium series, you can actually tell.
No spoilers. No spoilers. I haven't watched it yet. No spoilers.
Well, they pretty much took the wind out of their sails.
Okay.
I mean, I hate to have them get on a psychological battle, but my gosh, you have over almost 16 minutes to go in the game. You guys, I mean, there's something wrong when you pretty much are saying one and done, and LA knew it.
Chris, you're remarkably quiet over there. What's happening?
Very quiet. Chris?
Well, in predictable fashion here, one of the people I'm going to rag on in a minute, but I'll get there. Starting with Burns, it is a real shame, though, because aside from those two, rather bad positioning mistakes, he was pretty damn dynamic out there. All the offense they generated was with him on the ice. He was a big part of pretty much everything they did that was positive all night, which is kind of a shame. Uh, yeah, that wasn't really what caught my attention as much as the complete dead weight of our lines number 3 and 4 were. That's 1/3 to half of the time on the ice. And can someone explain to me why after that win at Dallas, that's like one of the few wins they've had in recent times, when Hurdle, Tierney, and Desjardins were so dynamic, were such a force in that game, and really brought some life from the bottom 6, why did they break that up? For John freaking Scott, because it just seems like whenever LA comes, we have to completely neuter our 4th line by putting that stiff piece of crap out there who can't do anything. Like, what did he do all game that was positive?
Well, is it a case of, like, did Scott start in the other games against LA? Maybe that's a case of that McClellan is just superstitious and, well, this is the lineup that beat them previously. Why not go again?
It usually does. I think it's McClellan's thought process, I think, is like, well, LA is big and tough, therefore we need big tough guy in the lineup. Like, no, what you actually need, you need tough players, but what you need is players who are good, because LA is just not big and tough. They are also highly skilled and very capable. You don't beat them by throwing out a goon there. You beat them by throwing out skilled hockey players who can play tough, but also can play hockey. This always seems to get lost in the shuffle here. This whole idea of your bottom 6 should actually be, slightly competent.
Well, and what was Daryl Sutter's quote about John Scott?
I believe I haven't found the exact quote, but it was something Andrew Bench mentioned where during an interview at one point a while back, Daryl Sutter basically said to him he has no use for players like that, referring to goons, i.e. John Scott, or said something to the effect of playoff teams don't need those guys, which I tend to agree with.
No, he's absolutely right. You look at the Daryl Sutter coach Sharks, they never really had a goon per se. I mean, you had Brian Marchment, but to me, Marchment
is one of them too.
Well, Brant Myers, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say like Daryl Sutter's never had any of those guys in the lineup. Obviously, has at some certain points.
But he didn't use them.
Yeah, even his guys, though, that he has, like, right. Dustin Brown's a cheap shot artist, but as much as I hate to admit it, Dustin Brown can play, just like Rafi Torres. Rafi Torres was a chronic cheap shot artist, but Rafi Torres could play. And that's to me, that's kind of the bottom line, is you should actually be able to play hockey. Because, last I checked, it's the National Hockey League.
Right. You have Desi, who had a 2-goal game the night before. I mean, he could throw out the punches and still, play physical and play hockey. And if they were better, you'd have Brown and Torres. And it's like, why are we bringing in John Scott? Yes, he's 6'8". Was he supposed to just stand there and be intimidating? It just seems like something they weren't thinking about this on this move at all.
Well, we all saw what happened in the game. It essentially came down to the team had a so-so first, had a good second, had a piss-poor third, which we've become accustomed to seeing. After Niemi turned in a fantastic game against Dallas, he goes in and just lets in just one of the softest goals I've ever seen. But we all know what happened in the game. So Eric, at the very least, being the one of the 3 amigos here, tell us about the spectacle and the pageantry of it all, will you?
The game itself was, the game itself stunk, of course. But the experience around it, the day of, was something else. I mean, it was taking a Sharks game, putting it in a football stadium, having the tailgate, having the fan fest, everything. I mean, everybody was in a good mood. Yeah, you had a bunch of, people, shouting BLA, BLA, but sure, it's mean spirited, but it was in a very good hockey sense. Everybody was in a good mood. Um, the only problems I think there was stadium wise were the lines for food, and if you were using the app to try to get food, your wait was almost an hour. Um, Other than that, it was pretty good. Um, but everything around it was something special. Um, just seeing almost 70,000 people doing the chomp, or when we did score, um, definitely had chills. When the team came out, um, I looked around and almost got choked up a little bit, which was so stupid. But I mean, it was something special because you saw all this teal out there, and it was just an amazing scene. I'm so glad we were able to do it. Uh, and then back, we'll go later in the show about everything that happened the days before, because those 2 days were something else, just to go on about. But the game itself, something everybody will remember. Yeah, we lost 2-1, but the spectacle that we had an outdoor game in the Bay Area. We set records for attendance. Um, And I can tell you this right now, there's a lot of people who wish they could tailgate at SAP Center.
We tailgate at SAP Center. We just do it at Isobeer's Original Gravity or something. We just park really far away, or we do it at Patty's or whatever.
So what was the makeup of the crowd like? Was it in terms of like Sharks, LA Kings fans?
It was mostly cover girl, a lot of rouge, a lot of no. I'm sorry, like you said, makeup. Go ahead.
Be here all week, folks. Don't forget to tip your waitresses and enjoy the teal. No, I would say, I mean, there were Kings fans there, but there weren't much.
Didn't look like it.
I would almost say it was like 85% Sharks fans, 15% Kings fans, if that.
I'm telling you, seeing some of the photos and on television, it almost appeared as if it was, as you say, like I want to say like 80% Sharks fans. It appeared that the remaining 20% was, I guess, spread out between people in LA Kings gear and then people that were wearing jerseys from other teams. I saw a couple Bruins jerseys. I saw an Avalanche jersey where it was just people that were, this was going to be their first time to see an outdoor game. So they just went as a fan of hockey, and it seemed as if, like I said, from the photos and what I saw in the media, that the amount of LA Kings fans were there. And I'll be honest with you, I expected to see a lot more. But it seemed as if half of it was LA Kings and half of it was just straight up, I want to see a game, an NHL game outdoors.
Yeah, it looked pretty awesome, like on TV. I watched the whole thing. Unfortunately, I couldn't go, but it was it looked to me like there was a lot of Sharks fans there. I was kind of wanting to verify with Eric there, but again, they keep saying nobody cares about hockey in the Bay Area. Well, they just packed out Levi Stadium. Nobody cares about hockey.
Exactly, and what's funny is hearing like Gary Radnich talking about it on Monday and like finally having to admit that there are more than 17,562 hockey fans in the Bay Area. Like you could feel the pain when he finally had to like suck it up and admit it. However, now here's a point that I've been dying to make with you guys. If you look at, say, the last 3 to 4 years of the Super Bowl entertainment, you have contemporary artists. You have Beyonce, Black Eyed Peas, Bruno Mars, this year Katy Perry.
Oh, Katy Perry.
Who was the fossil? I mean, and nothing disparaging against John Fogerty and Melissa Etheridge. They certainly had their time, their era. What demographic is the NHL trying to appeal to when you roll out a guy who his biggest claim to fame was the 60s? The last time he had a hit was 30 years ago, okay? 3-0. Center field was his last big hit, and it came out in 1985. And then you have Melissa Etheridge, whose biggest album and claim to fame, her huge album, her breakthrough album came out 21 years ago. Okay, 21 years ago. Why are you bringing out a 30-year-old, you know, an artist that hasn't had a hit in 30 years and another artist that hasn't been big in over 20 years as your intermission entertainment? How can you? Was Metallica busy? Could you not find someone just a scotch more, you know,
anybody?
Contemporary? Yeah, I mean,
Even
if you look at it, though, I mean, I know Kiss did it last year, but the thing is, you know what? Kiss is continually touring right now. Like, they're still playing and they're still selling out places, and we're talking big places. When was the last time John Fogerty? When was the last time John Fogerty sold out an arena? When was the last time Melissa Etheridge? I mean, give me a break. How do you not use? How do you not find someone? I mean, what was Pink doing? I mean, somebody, and I'm just throwing that name out there as a contemporary popular artist. Obviously, everything is pop right now, and I would take Fogerty and Etheridge over any type of a country act whatsoever, believe you me. But the thing is I just don't understand what demographic are you going for at intermission? And granted, see, the NFL, I mean, if you go back and look at the history over the last decade, since the whole Janet Jackson Nipplegate thing, blah, 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 since then, they've gone with Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stones and Tom Petty and Bruce Springsteen and The Who, and then finally someone, like, pulled their heads out of their ass and said, oh, wait a minute, our demographic isn't 60-year-old people. We're trying to appeal to a younger audience that plays fantasy football. They don't give a shit about the Rolling Stones, sorry to say it. So, you know, which is the reason why people like Bruno Mars is on the top of the charts. Nothing against Bruno Mars, talented guy. But the fact is, I just don't understand how you go for such old and tired acts for intermission. There had to have been somebody better.
Well, here's one thing, though, keep in mind about the NHL and its demographic. 2 years ago, their number 4 advertiser was mycleanpc.com. So they aren't exactly picking from, you know, they're not exactly getting the top picks here in terms of advertisers and acts. So to steer back to the game for a minute here, Pat Tip here to Crispy Churro with a 0. He mentioned Kyle Clifford getting an extension today. 5 years, $8 million. So we gave 4 years, $8 million to one Adam Burrish. See, why can't we sign fourth liners like that? Like the guy's a tough customer, but he can also play hockey. I don't get why we seem to think it's got to be one or the other. You either play hockey or you are super gritty and have won the cup and therefore know what it takes to win the cup. Hashtag Niemi, hashtag Burrish, oil, Etal. Yeah, sorry. Off a little tangent there for a minute. He's getting paid less than Adam Burrish.
Well, it's a smart play about keeping your team together. When you have that team playing together, you know, team chemistry, you know, we need teammates, not coworkers mentality. So we'll take that pay cut for sure.
Chemistry and just quality players, you know.
Well, you know, I looked something up because it popped into my head yesterday. And just for shits and did we lose Eric? Did he disappear? Okay, he must be having to go get his own root beer. So I went and looked something. I went and looked over the last 10 years. So since the lockout, essentially. you want to hear something? You want to hear something? Okay, we'll let Eric get situated. You want to hear something really funny? If you go over the last 10 years and you look at the Stanley Cup winner over the last 10 years, you want to take a guess as to how many of the last 10 Stanley Cup winners, just take a guess, how many of them drafted the goalie that won them that they won the Stanley Cup with? Either one.
I'm going to say most of them, probably 8 or 9 of them out of the last 10.
Okay, Eric, how about you?
I'm trying to remember who won.
Well,
Yeah,
no, just throw out a
probably
number.
about 7.
Okay, you have to do it kind of like on a technicality kind of thing, but it's essentially 8, but more like 9 because you look at last year. Quick drafted by LA. The year before that, Corey Crawford drafted by Chicago. The year before that, you had LA again. The year before that was
Boston.
Boston. Now, here's the thing. Tim Thomas was actually drafted by Quebec, but he never played a game for them. He barely was even in their farm system. The first NHL game he ever started was for Boston. So then you go to 2010, Chicago. Niemi was their goalkeeper, and he was an undrafted free agent that they brought on. So that was the first team he ever played for. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh, they drafted Marc-Andre Fleury. Detroit Red Wings, they drafted Chris Osgood. And then in 2006, Carolina, they drafted Cam Ward. The only real outstanding one is J.S. Giguère. He was drafted by Hartford. He played over in that system, and it's just interesting to look that he was drafted 13th overall by the Whalers in '95, but he played in the Calgary Flames organization for 3 seasons before going to Anaheim. So he was around before he made it. But if you look, 9 out of 10, can you believe that? 9 out of 10 goalies, at least to win the last 10 cups, they've all been drafted by the team who won the cup. When how many goaltenders have the Sharks rolled with? Since we obviously know they drafted Nabby, but they brought in Niemi, they brought in Shields, they brought in Vernon, they brought in Rudy, they brought in Chris Terreri, they brought in Wade Flaherty. So
don't forget Josh Sargent.
Oh, Charzot, Hackett, Urbe. I mean, shut the hell up.
I think, though, part of that is, I think if you look at most NHL teams, the vast majority of good teams, usually their starting goalie did come up through the organization because, otherwise it usually just gets too expensive. Most of the good goalies that ever hit the free agent market get such bloated contracts that they become albatross on their own team, I think.
But that's my point, is that's kind of where I'm leading to is as we're coming on to the trade deadline, pull the cord on Niemi. Make the trade. Get him out.
I would say yes, if for the right price. For
the right price. But you have Stalock, you have Grosnick, you have a couple guys in the system. Work on building from there. But if you look at it, just history dictates that you build out from net and you build out through the draft. Clearly, over the last 10 years, that's the way it's been happening.
I think the other thing that might be getting overlooked here, too, is not only did they have goalies that were brought to the organization, but the biggest piece of those goalie success, usually in most of those cups, I can think of for Boston, for both the Chicago, for the Kings, at least in recent history, really good defensemen right in front of them, clearing pucks away, stopping second chances, stopping rushes. A lot of it just starts with the defenseman right in front of them. Niemi is a perfect case of that, where I think he was a very average goaltender for Chicago.
He was.
But he has a massive defense in front of him, and same was for Quick. A lot of them played unbelievable at times. They still have to do that. They still have to have great games. But the defense in front of them, and that's where I think we need to focus. defense. Like, well, stop worrying about the goaltender.
Absolutely.
Fix the defense first. Then worry
There's
about the goaltender, but put the focus on the defense.
See, this is the thing that really that always stood out for me back in back in the summer of 2010, whatever it was, is the fact that we put in the Sharks put in the offer on Jarmelson, and they said no, we're going to match it, and it essentially forced their hand that they ended up losing Niemi. And when you think about that, it's kind of, well, if Niemi was so fantastic, that's, a goalie typically is your bigger piece of the puzzle than a defenseman, a top four defense, but who did they decide to keep for essentially the same amount of money? They kept Hammer.
Yeah, defensemen I think are less replaceable. Like, plus there's only one goalie out there on the ice, or you only have two goalies really.
But you get my point.
I get your point. Yeah, because
they kept the better guy, and that's my whole thing is that whenever you get somebody, it always makes me wonder. Okay, what's wrong with this guy? What made him expendable to that organization that traded him to you?
Absolutely. It seemed like they were going to go to arbitration. They had a number. Nemo said no. He went and he became a free agent. Sharks scooped him up. But yeah, you're right. What made him expendable for them to just be like, we'll go ahead and play with Corey Crawford instead? One thing we have a tweet. Defense. Yeah, well. Speaking of which, Generation X-Wing, thank you for tweeting us. Wilson can't draft G or D, ends up selling off youth forwards to fill those holes. All right, which leads us to our next question, since we're on to the trade deadline here.
He's got a great point.
Here's my question, though. Is there any young forwards right now that they could possibly trade to bring in something?
No. We're not looking for forwards.
No. I'm saying is use one of the forwards that we have up and coming to trade for defenseman or a goaltender.
I don't think we need to trade for a goaltender. Defenseman maybe. Well, honestly, what we need defensive prospects. We need guys who may be a year or two away, but can come up through the system, can actually become contributors.
I would be more than happy to see Stalock and or Grosnick play in net for an entire season if you put a solid defensive core in front of him that are going to let him see the open shots, not screen him, clear the crease. And so the biggest thing, saying that Wilson can't draft goaltenders, that's kind of hard. That's one of those things because goaltenders take so long to come up. I mean, for crap's sakes, Wilson's been the GM of the Sharks for 10 seasons. Nabokov was taken in '94. He didn't crack the squad in 2000. So, that's a 6-year difference. You look at how long it takes to bring the goalies up. That's kind of hard to tell, and that's something that we won't be able to see for another 5 or 6 years. However, defensemen, oh yeah, Doug Wilson screws the pooch left and right, burning top 3 picks. I don't understand how he has had such a bad. I mean, as a former defenseman, how do you have such a bad track record for drafting for the picks that you've used in the first 3 rounds, whether it's Wren, Petrecki, Doherty, Wissert, what have you? You've screwed the pooch every single time. I don't know what he is looking at or what the scouts are looking at in these guys, how they just keep screwing up these picks. And right now, obviously, the jury's still out on Mueller, but right now I'm not real high on Mueller.
Well, they're not doing him any favors. They seem to trying to do everything they can to sabotage his development.
Exactly. But it's not. So it's not. They're not doing themselves any favors. But that's the whole thing. It's like Mueller's going to end up being another top 3 rounder defenseman that the Sharks take that doesn't pan out, or at the very least doesn't pan out for the Sharks. So there you go. And one of the things that I now that we're talking about, the trade deadline and everything, one of the things that I've seen come up a few times, can't remember exactly who mentioned it, if it was Kurz or Pollock or McKean or whoever. Why do people keep on bringing up Phil Kessel as a potential guy to try to get? Now, trying to go after Jonathan Bernier, maybe if the price is right, but I'm still a big proponent of giving Stalock and Grosnick a chance. But I don't who in the hell, I don't know why this keeps coming up. Who the hell thinks that Doug Wilson's going to sign a guy who is getting $8 million a year, which is $1 million more than any other Shark right now per year.
He'd be the highest paid Shark too.
He'd be the highest paid Shark, so he's going to get $1 million more per year than any other current Shark. Because right now, Thornton is the highest paid. Is it Thornton or Marlowe? They're almost making the same amount, but it's just under $7 million.
I think it's just Thornton by a hair.
Okay, so it's just under $7 million. And you're going to pay this other guy an extra. It's like, okay, I understand Kessel had some chemistry with Pavelski in the Olympics. That's fine. That's great. Doug Wilson is not going to sign a guy, first off, who's making $8 million a year, but is also signed for the next 8 years. Has he ever given out a contract longer than 5?
Nope. I mean, that's his mantra too.
Maybe Vlasic, maybe Braun. I know those guys got long deals. Or no, maybe Burns.
Burns got 5.
Burns had a 5-year. I mean, he doesn't really do. He might do a 6-year at some point, but really he doesn't do more than 5 or 6. And it's a good mantra, I think.
Yeah, it's like I'd want to see. The only contracts I'd want to see at this point are Vlasic's, Couture's, and Burns. Those are the 3 that and I don't think any of those are over. Maybe Braun's. I think Braun got an extension of like quite a fat length of an extension. Maybe that was 4 years, but I don't think that Wilson has ever given anything longer than a 5-year deal. Maybe you give Vlasic 6. I don't know, but either way,
Braun got a 5-year.
He got 5 years. Okay, so see, there you go. What about Couture and Vlasic? Those are the 2.
6-year. Vlasic, I think, was 5-year.
Okay, so see, there you go. So there's no way in hell. And how old is Kessel at this point? I think he's like 27. 27, right? So you want to take this guy on for $8 million a year, make him your highest paid Shark, who's the guy is incredibly he's a head case. He's got a lot of defensive liability. You're going to make him the highest paid Shark, and you're going to sign him until he's 35, 36? Mm-hmm. No, not going to happen. Stop talking about it.
Well, and he only plays one direction too.
That's what I'm saying. He's a defensive liability.
He does not, like we already did Danny Heatley. I don't think we need to do that again with an even more expensive guy. I don't think it makes sense. And plus, our problem is not at forward. I mean, we can use forward depth, but we don't have a problem at forward. We have a problem on defense. We have a problem in our offensive depth, but that's about it.
And that's the other reason why I don't understand the talk about Kessel and. Do you understand? The problems are on defense, and they can sit there and spout out things that, this particular forward is usually producing more points than this at this particular time, and it's like, dude, are you watching? A lot of times these forwards, they're not able to produce offensively because they're too busy trying to cover the ass of the defenseman who got out of position, who's not sure what the hell's going on.
Yeah. So that kind of trend to bring up, the whole what's been wrong with the Sharks this year. I did a lot of stat digging since we've had quite a few days off. I was looking at the numbers like we're in the middle of the pack in goals per game. We're 16th in the league, right in the middle of the pack, 22nd in goals against per game, and I think that's a lot of things that goes into that. But our team save percentage, let's see if I can find it here, is .907. That's 19th in the league. There's only 3 playoff teams behind us. Playoff teams don't have that, aren't in the bottom of the league on save percentage. Like both Stalock, Niemi, pretty mediocre save percent. They're not. Our problems are on defense. It's not. I mean, we could use more offense, but our problem's defense. It's not happening there.
Okay, good you mentioned that up because the crispy churro just brought it up. The churro with the zero. Phaneuf, Petrie, Yandel, or Mike Green. You can only pick one. I know who I'm picking. Out of that group, and you might hate me, I don't care. I'm taking Mike Green.
I'll take Petrie.
I would probably take Petrie myself. You don't need Phaneuf, although his wonderful wife at Shark seems to be awesome.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Have you seen his wife? Oh, yes, I have. Petrie's probably the best one out there. I mean, Green, you have injury issues with. Phaneuf, I don't know what it is about people in Toronto. Maybe Jamie Baker has said it best. You are not who you were going to be or had been when you play in Toronto. They all expect a little bit more out of you and something like that. And the problem with that is that once you get out of Toronto, what's your psyche going to be like? And we've already had enough psychological, mental issues with this team. I can't see them going after something like that.
Yeah, I would judge just based on his age.
Yeah, the age thing is my main complaint there. I wouldn't judge him too much based on Toronto because honestly, it's like judging someone because they played for the Raiders. Like, it's a screw up of an organization.
Wow, low blow.
Well, I'm sorry, it's true. Like, there's certain organizations in various sports leagues that they manage to ruin players' careers. You can't really even judge them until you've seen. Well, you can sometimes. Sometimes they're just bad. But if they're mediocre and show flashes and they're playing for a horrible organization, I think it's harder to say just how good they are. And it works the other way when you have like Niemiken for Chicago.
Right.
Those teams could make any goaltender look like a world beater because they were so good in front of them.
I feel like both Phaneuf and Kessel are just head cases. That's the last thing that this team needs right now. But can you get back to more of your stats and what you were talking about there?
Yeah.
More fun stats here. So I was just digging through NHL.com because I
hope Damon Bruce isn't watching because he loves analytics.
Oh yeah, well he defended analytics against Charles Barkley in his thing where he's like,
they're who was I thinking of? There was somebody who was barking about analytics.
Oh yeah, well no, Barkley was like, they're stupid. They mean absolutely nothing else. Like, okay, I agree that eye test is important as well. I think they're both important. But if the numbers,
well, the eye test is huge if you're an ex-scout. That's the big thing.
Oh yes, indeed.
That's
huge. I think they're both important, and you should look at both. But I think the thing about numbers is numbers aren't biased. If the numbers say a guy is not playing well, maybe you can figure out a discrepancy, but the numbers generally don't lie, and the numbers for the Sharks aren't pretty. I was looking at their ratio of goals for, goals against. They're 24th in the league. Guess who's behind them? Toronto, Columbus, Carolina, Edmonton, Buffalo, and Arizona.
And didn't 3 of those teams sweep the Sharks this year?
And that doesn't help either. Their power play is actually probably, like, as mediocre as it's been, that's probably actually helped them keep them afloat to a certain point here. What, Eric?
Yeah, but he's just laughing at the photo that Generation X-Wing sent us about.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I've never seen a nicer cover of NHL 15 before.
That's right. Kessel has mad controller skills, yo.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I appreciate the numbers, but I always want to add a scotch of with a grain of salt with those. It's okay. Now I'm assuming that these are for this season, right?
This is just this season.
Okay.
In the 60-ish game, or just under 60-ish games we've had.
Yeah. See, I always like to see this over. I always like seeing this over like the last 5 and the last 10 games played, especially when you see a power. Because at one point they said the Sharks' power play was ranked number 1, and I was what the fuck have I been smoking? Because I haven't seen that. And I would venture to say that if you look like say over the last 10 games, the Sharks power play, if among the entire league over the last 10 games, I would be shocked if it was higher than 18th.
Oh yeah, no, I would say it's probably more recently. Yeah. Well, but then again, it also last 10 games is subject to your favorite thing, AJ. Small sample size.
Small sample size, baby.
But, I mean, that is how it goes, though. It kind of comes and goes. But overall, I think that the power play has been pretty mediocre, and I think, well, thing is part of remember though when we're talking about power plays, if you're scoring 25% of the time, that's usually really highly ranked power play, and that doesn't that won't look very appealing because you're only scoring 1 out of 4 times. That sounds pretty mediocre, but in the if you're talking league wide, that's actually not bad.
But
penalty kill though.
Well, let me ask you this. Here's a stat that I would love to see is the amount of games the Sharks have, like their win-loss record when they've scored at least one power play goal, and their win and loss record when they've gone over on the power play, whether they've had 1 or 10. That would be a fantastic stat because as we talked about before, the playoffs. So many times when you looked at it, when they've had at least 1 power play goal, they've won like 98% of those games, and when they've gone 0-4, they've lost like 90% of those games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it's not just going 0-4, but if you go 0-1, that's one thing. But if you go 0-4, I think that's. I'd be curious to look up those numbers. I'm guessing you're probably right though. If you don't capitalize on those chances, it's not good. Penalty kill has also been pretty mediocre too.
It's not good. It's not good.
I was just gonna say. I mean, it's not good at all. Not good. I mean, that's how in 06 that the Oilers decided to take liberties against the Sharks because they would get hammered and not score on the power play.
See, and that's that's one of the things that I have bitched and lamented about. I don't know how long was the fact that because whether it was Ray Ratto or some other blowhard that sat there and said, "Oh well, special teams make up such a small percentage." No, bull fucking shit. Because the thing is that if you have a lethal power play, teams are scared to take liberties against you. They are scared. They're not going to go for the extra big hit. They're not going to go for the extra hook. They're not going to take the extra stride because they don't want to get called for the penalty. And so you already have a mental advantage against them if your power play is just massive. And I don't understand why some of these beat writers or I shouldn't say beat writers, but whoever it was back then, I wish I had it written down in front of me. But if your power play is just phenomenally awesome, teams aren't going to take liberties against you because they don't want to get beaten on the clock. But then if it's a case of if they know that your power play sucks, oh man, they're going to run you left and right because, hey, who cares? Your power play sucks, so we can beat the crap out of you physically and just wear you the hell out.
Well, and that's the other. So we bring up 06 where because the Sharks couldn't do crap on the power play, the Oilers decided to take liberties against everybody and couldn't do anything at all. Then you look at when we swept Vancouver, how we were gangbusters on the power play in that series and literally destroyed them. Plus, with that comes the Canucks were playing on the heels, and they had to play very cautious because they couldn't afford to take a penalty. And you look at how there were some ticky-tacky calls in that series, but the Sharks took advantage of that. But kind of re-wrapping around that, guys. We'll play a quick game. I know this is rare for me to do the gaming thing.
Oh.
So.
Oh man, you should have told me. I would have brought out the theme music. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hang on. We'll get you some.
Okay, we're up.
All right.
Got some whammies or something, or what?
Big bucks, no whammies. All right, here's the question, guys.
Chris's hand is not on his buzzer.
We need hands on buzzers. Good luck to both of you. Here's the question. What will Doug Wilson do at the trade deadline?
Ding.
AJ.
Absolutely nothing. Thank you. Good night, all. No, what will he do at the trade line? No, he'll move a couple guys. I don't think he'll move everybody. I'm thinking he's going to move. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, he is going to move Niemi. And I want to say maybe and you know what? This is going to be a great segue, by the way, as we get into who's available. I'm going to say it's going to be a combination of Niemi and Shepard and maybe Hannon, or Niemi, Kennedy, and maybe Hannon. I'm thinking it's going to be just a small combo of like two players, but I don't think the Sharks get anything today back in value. It's going to be picks and prospects, as Wilson has preached. He's, it's all part of the plan, and I don't think there's going to be anything significant that comes back. Nothing that will improve this team today. It's going to be all for the future.
My question here is this, AJ. What is the plan?
I'm sorry, I don't have the blueprints in front of me. Yeah, I don't have the blueprints in front of me, unfortunately.
Wait, are we rebuilding or are we retooling on the fly? Because I've been told both.
Well, that's what we're doing. We're doing both.
Oh, we're retooling and rebuilding them.
That is Sharks logic. That is called How to Keep Your Job with Hasso Plattner 101, right there. We're doing both. We're doing both.
Oh, see, we're refreshing like this bomb-ass tea, but that ain't none of my business.
That's right. None of my business. No, honestly, the Sharks have 7 unrestricted free agents: Nemo, Shepard, Desjardins, Kennedy, Scott, Irwin, and Hannon. By this time next Monday night, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm going to set the over-under at 3. I'm going to say 3 of them are no longer Sharks by this Monday. And I think that's a little high, but I'm still going with it.
I pick Hannon to get moved and maybe James Shepard. I have a feeling we won't see any major moves.
For what? What are they getting?
Hannon, probably a late-round pick. Shepard, it sounds like he could probably fetch a second or third rounder. He's not a bad bottom 6 forward. It's just we seem pretty bad about using him, but we have all kinds of bottom 6 issues, as you know.
All right, one more question.
Hold on, what was the correct answer?
The correct answer we were looking for is absolutely nothing. He likes his team, and he wants to see how well it will fly to get into the postseason.
I'm sorry, the correct answer, sir, was jack shit.
No. The correct answer was you'll find out at Monday on noon.
Yes. We could go with the whole Seekers thing and be like, we'll find out after the break.
Coming up in 15 minutes.
Right. All right. Now that I've lost my question, thanks to you, ding-dongs.
You gotta write this shit down, homie.
You gotta write this shit down. Damn it.
No problem.
Oh, boy. What is going on? All of a sudden, my Twitter feed is... Oh, my question to you is this, and I'll say this to you. All right, hands on buzzers. Of course, I have to play. It's great that YouTube has all these ads on now. You have something
Dude, ad block.
You kind of have to.
Ruining the production value of this show.
Hold on, I'm almost there. 2, 1. Okay, there we go.
And we still can't hear anything. This is fantastic.
For $1 million. For $1 million, I will use a quote from Wingles on Twitter.
Why doesn't anybody else hit anybody? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is Wingles now like a member of the Mafia or something?
Wingles? No. This is my friend Nikki. She says, "Hey, Doug Wilson, see this thing going on? It's called trays. You should try it sometime." My question to you is this: if he doesn't make moves by Monday, do you strongly consider firing Doug Wilson because he hasn't done much to this organization in a full calendar year?
Ding.
Chris.
For that, not really. Honestly, if he gets fired, it should be at the end of the season when they miss the playoffs for his inability to draft defensemen or stock decent bottom tier forwards. That's what I think.
Okay, my answer for that is I don't see. There's no way in hell Wilson gets fired midseason. Honestly, I have this weird feeling that Plattner, for a guy who claims to love hockey and apparently be out here for certain games, I guess he was here for the outdoor game, and a guy who is upset when the Sharks lose, that's all good. I really believe that Plattner just listens to whatever Wilson tells him. He just believes that Wilson knows 20 times more than he does, so he just goes, okay, that sounds good. And I think I think Wilson has Plattner buying into this I have a plan thing. And
how long has Plattner been in charge though? I mean,
it's only been like a couple years.
Yeah,
has it even been 2 years?
He bought the controlling interest in the shortened season in 2013, but he's been an owner. He's been like a part owner for some time now.
Okay.
Yeah. So for my thing, I think it's that that Plattner has bought into whatever Wilson's so-called plan is. Like Eric was mentioning, I would love to see the blueprints and to find out where the end game is on all this. Obviously, you would hope it's to raise a Stanley Cup within the next 3 to 5 years. But I think Wilson has Plattner's ear. I think if anything, because McClellan has one more year left on his contract, I think it's going to be a case of if the Sharks miss this, if they miss the postseason this year, I think McClellan's going to play out the final year of his deal. If they start off shitty, McClellan might get canned halfway through. But I think Wilson has Plattner's ear. I don't think the owner is involved, or knows jack shit enough about hockey to realize that Wilson has been with this team for 10 years now and has gotten them close, but continues to make questionable decisions as of late.
Be careful what you wish for, though, because we got a owner getting involved on the 49ers.
Well, no, that's
how well that's worked.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying, is that you need to have the right general manager, and as much as anybody can sit there and say Doug Wilson's a schmuck and he needs to go and blah, 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 to anybody who says Doug Wilson sucks, and I'm not saying he's great, but I'm not saying he sucks. He's the guy who got us Thornton. He's the guy who got the Sharks Boyle. He has made some good moves, and he has made some crappy moves. Show me the general manager where every move he made was gold. You'd be hard-pressed to find it. But the thing is anybody who sits there and rags on Doug Wilson, my whole problem is, okay, that's fine. If you want to fire him, who should the Sharks get to replace him? And for some reason, very rarely does someone actually have an answer for that, with the exception of Puck Guy 14.
I will take Ray Shero, formerly of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Are you bringing Bilsma with him?
Why not, eh?
I was going to say, because you know what's going to happen is the fact that if, in fact, Plattner was to shit-can Wilson, the chances are 99.9% that any GM who comes in is going to want to put his stamp on the new team, and typically the first thing to do is a new coaching staff. But like I said, McClellan has 1 year left on his contract after this. Maybe they let it ride out. Who knows? I think at this point right now, and you guys know I've been saying this for the last 3-4 months, I think the Sharks are going to miss the playoffs. but I think McClellan keeps his job. I think Wilson keeps his job because it's all part of the plan. And the end of next season is going to be what's most telling, because I think part of that also has to do with next season is the Sharks' 25th anniversary. So they're expecting to put a lot of butts in the seats because of all the shit that they're going to be throwing out there game after game after home game after home game after home game to celebrate the 25th anniversary and draw butts back to the seats. But the only way that that is going to work is if they make a couple of decent moves in the off season.
Well, that's the catch. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One of the things is also for this season, I mean, they may have also accepted the fact that they were going to slide this season. They didn't obviously want to go advertising that to all of us, like, yeah, we're just throwing the season away. I mean, most of us could tell by looking at it that it seemed like they weren't making moves to be better this season or be a really good playoff team this season. It seemed like they were making moves to get younger, get more experience. So this may actually be so to say, in the plan. They may have already acknowledged that, yeah, we'll try to make the playoffs, but there's a good chance we won't because of how we're going about this. And then look at, again, in a year or so, when when guys like Hurdle and those guys, have more experience, when guys like Tierney have gotten experience, when Mueller, well, okay, he's not going to get experience because, well, fuck that. But I'd rather just scratch him all day long and have him sit there in the press box. He's learning to wear a suit at the NHL level.
Is Eric doing that on purpose?
I was like, wait, what? I kind of tuned out because I was looking at the tweets, and then Chris said something about scratching somebody. I'm like,
no. Eric's left eyebrow went up like he was asking a question. It was odd.
Talking about scratching Mueller. It's like, well, I was saying, we're developing guys like Hurdle, Nieto, Tierney. We're not, we're teaching Mueller how to be a scratch at the NHL level. How to get that tie just right in the press box, because that's important.
Yeah. Well, hey, dude, NHL ties has been mentioned in under big names, dude. Do not disparage the power of at NHL ties.
I agree, and thank you to Hannah for fixing my tie on the third time after the game. If you saw my tweets to NHL ties, I was trying to figure out how the heck to get this tie on point, and it took a while, but I finally got it down. My point that I was going to make, though, is how much pressure are you putting on the youngsters? When I was in the locker room on media day,
stop showing off.
No, I'm not. I'm bringing the inside.
When I was talking to the players and stuff, because I'm important. Are you gonna name drop too, dude?
I'll hold that note all day long.
Oh, dude, man, hold on. Excuse me while I go grab a horn to blow. Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
Are you guys done? I'm just trying to get some info that you guys wanted to know. Hurdle's been putting pressure on himself that he knows that this team needs goals, and he's trying to put more pressure on himself on it. And here's my point: Hurdle's probably the biggest prospect we have, if we can even call him a prospect anymore. My point is, you have all the other guys: Nieto, Goodrow, Carlson. I mean, yeah, they've shown up in some games, but they haven't been consistent. Like a certain player that wears number 12. My point is that how much pressure are you going to put on these guys before they break down? And to have Mueller up in the press box, let's not forget to mention too. 2 days before the outdoor game, we sent Tennyson to Worcester. We sent local boy Tennyson to Worcester to make sure Scott Hannon plays in that outdoor game.
Exactly. No, I don't get that. And did you notice the letter that good old ruiner of franchises John Turturro sent out to the season ticket holders 2 weeks ago? Did you notice that?
I didn't see anything like that.
Oh, dear Lord.
I do know that they were asking for season ticket invoices for next season now.
Yeah, they're coming in way early on asking for money. The other thing that they're doing is an extended payment plan. That's right. We're extending the interest-free payment plan from 6 to 8 months to give you more flexibility. In doing so, we are reducing your initial payment to renew your season tickets to only 10%, not 20% as previously done. And then we have the whole pay as we play. So they're extending the payment plan, reducing the money that you have to put down at the beginning, and then remember that really fucking stupid thing when they would make you pay for all of the playoffs as if they were going to the cup up front? Well, they finally said, you know what? That's kind of really fucking stupid. So now it's a case of renew your season tickets and take advantage of our new pay-as-we-play playoff payment option. This new option delays your payment of playoff tickets in each round until after the completion of that round and for only the games played. In the past, we asked for payment in full prior to the Sharks qualifying for each round, and John Turturro realized that he was a big fucking dolt for doing that, so we stopped. You know, no more annoying credits, none of that shit. So they sent out this letter talking about that, but the best part is they had 3 bullet points. Celebrating the past. And that next season is the 25th anniversary. And the thing that I think is so funny is it says, we will be launching our official Sharks Alumni Association, and we hope you will celebrate with us as we welcome back many of your favorite players, such as Owen Nolan, local, Mike Rathje, local, Kyle McLaren, local, Yevgeny Nabokov, local, Curtis Brown, local, Dave Maley, local, Jeff Friesen, oh my God. How is Mike Ricci's name not in there? Don't understand.
Hey, we brought back Rick Lassard on Saturday.
But no, you know what I mean. It's like they say that, oh, this whole alumni association. It's like, hey, assholes, we all know that these guys live within like 5 miles of the Shark Tank. So give me a fucking break with this alumni association. And then the whole focusing on the present, the transition of the roster on the fly will continue in the 15-16 season as the Sharks invest their way into the next wave of stars such as Pavelski, Couture, Vlasic, Wingels, Braun, and Brent Burns. So, okay, fine, blah, blah, blah.
Where's Hurdle?
Oh, no. And it says, as these players take their rightful place alongside anchors, and I think that's a great keyword, anchors, Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau, they will be joined by the fresh faces of Thomas Hurdle, Matt Nieto, Marco Mueller, Brendan Dillon, Melker Carlson, Matt Tennyson, Chris Tierney, and Barclay Goodrow. And then you have got looking to the future, the relocation of our top development AHL team, and so either way, I think it's so goddamn funny that the whole extended payment plan, the pay as we play, even though we're still going to increase ticket prices like by 12%, while you even know that we're going to bring in our AHL affiliate whose tickets are going to be dramatically lower. It's just,
at least you hope so.
Oh no, there's just if the how is it? Okay, let me see. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait. Let me look it up here. Hold on. Let me brush my head. That took so much out of me. Okay, let me check my calendar here. Oh, look at that. It's fucking February 25th. There are 3 days left in this fucking month, people. 3 days left. Tomorrow they play Detroit. Saturday they play, I think, Ottawa or whatever. Either way, there are 3 fucking days left in February. Weren't we all told that in the month of February we would be told the name of the new AHL team what the Worcester Sharks will in fact become when they play here? Weren't we told that? Yes, I think we were. Good fucking luck, pal. You got 3 days, and two of those days have games played on them. So good fucking luck. But anyway, back to where I was talking about. No, those prices have to be significantly lower. Holy shit, am I in rant mode again? Quick, Generation X, put up the fucking Incredible Hulk graphic again. I'm just saying. You guys got me going. Yeah, you got me going. But I'm very interested, like I said, between the deadline and the offseason, I'm very interested to see what the Sharks do, because I think the AHL team is going to be end up being more of a competition for their dollar than they actually are considering or even thinking about. And it's not as if you don't have a new soccer. I shouldn't say a new team, but it's not as if the local soccer team has a new venue that starts this season. Oh wait, yeah they do. Which is just somebody else competing for your shark dollar.
Mic drop.
There you go.
Nice job.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So I had one
I'll
more
just put
thing real
myself
quick.
on mute for the next 5 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
Go, Chris.
So we should probably touch on the Red Wings game in a minute here, but I have one more thing. There's a website I follow that kind of tracks probabilities and all that of different teams making the playoffs. In the last 2 weeks, we've dropped from 55% to 29%. I have my own little spreadsheet projections of wins and losses here I'm looking at. I project us to get about another 22 points based on all the records coming up. At this point, I mean, at 68 points with a 20, I believe, it's 20 games to go here, or 21 games to go, 68 points, they're going to need at least 25 to 30 points minimum to even touch. So, yeah, I don't see it happening at this point.
I look at it that they have to win 2 out of every 3 games, which means 14 out of 21. That would get them to 96 points. Looking at the standings right now, only LA has played less than 60 games. Vancouver has caught up to us in an amount of games played, and pretty much everybody else has. Minnesota's played 60, Vancouver's played 60, LA's played 59.
But most every team in front of us though has at least 1 or 2 games in hand though. That's the thing.
Right. What?
Oh, can I ask you a question?
Oh my God! Yes. Jeez.
Okay.
Were you having herbal essences or something?
Ryan Miller out 4 to 6 weeks. Is that a team you consider trading Niemi to? Your thoughts?
No, because that actually gives them a chance to jump over Vancouver into the playoffs, and I think that's what Wilson will look at. Look at it this way, guys. They know they need to make the playoffs before the fan base goes completely irate.
I don't think they're going to have a choice, though. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, to trade with the team that you're points behind, that has a game in hand. I mean, you do that if you trade Niemi to Vancouver, and you're basically points behind or giving up.
As opposed to the signing of John Scott, which said, we're in it to win it.
Well, you know what I mean, though. I mean, to trade in the division, and you're that close to them, you're basically saying, we give up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unless Vancouver gives up a first and Benino doing that.
Okay, well, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, a couple podcasts ago. If the Sharks are going to be buyers or sellers, I think it's pretty clear, and I think we talked about this before. The Sharks, if they're going to do anything, they're going to be sellers. So they should be. So that's a great point. They should be sellers. So the UFAs, as we mentioned before, that we have to look at pieces to be moved. Nemo, Shepard, Desjardins, Kennedy, Scott, Irwin, Hannon. What do you think any of those guys are going to fetch in the open market, if anything, if they're moved?
Draft picks or prospects, really. That's
draft picks okay. Now we're talking on on what level? Nemo, what should Nemo fetch you minimum? A second rounder and a prospect?
I would say at least a second rounder. Like, it sounds like his trade value is not much higher than that.
I would hope
goaltenders are kind of like they aren't nearly as much of a commodity as other types of players.
Well, I think. What if Eddie Lack between now and Sunday? What if Eddie Lack just shits the bed for Vancouver? Does Vancouver panic and try to make a deal. Who knows? Okay, well that remains
Yeah,
to be seen.
yeah. If we were able to pawn him off on Vancouver for a ransom, sure. I'm always in favor of. I'm always in favor of take suckers for a
Raping and
ride.
pillaging. We're always in favor of that.
And I'm going to make a great point that Generation X Wing just made. It's a great point because, he's got a point. Look at how Nemo's been playing. It could be a smart trade, like submarining Vancouver's playoff run.
Oh, fuck, I love Generation X-Wing, dude. That was such a great tweet. Oh, my God.
I mean,
that's awesome.
That's good. Kind of going quickly through the because we've already gone over our time limit here.
Oh, fuck the time limit, just like the Kings.
Well, I know Chris needs to go somewhere tonight. King Shark 49 prediction: Tortora announces on Friday AHL team for Sharks, the San Francisco Bulls of San Jose.
Which would be no. You know what? Fuck that name. But if it was the San Francisco Spiders of San Jose, I would totally get behind that.
King Shark again. Here's my payment plan for the Shark season tickets. It's called the Giant Fire Jean Tortora plan. Hannah at Hansa, pressure is a huge factor in how players do mentally, if that makes sense. Generation X-Wing again. I swear he bought the Sharks just to get the SAP stats deal. He doesn't give a crap about hockey. King Shark. What will DW do at the trade deadline besides golf? Deal Hannon, package with Irwin and Niemi to an Eastern Conference team? That maybe. And still, there's people who keep saying in Chicago they would love to have Scott Hannon as veteran Blue Line president.
Who the hell is saying that? People in Chicago. Who? What people?
There's been a number of tweets saying, I think it's more so fan base that they.
I can find a number of tweets that think that we should trade Nemo, and I can find a number of tweets that say we should keep him. So until we see something happen, who knows? All I'm saying is we've got the 7 UFAs. Like I said, I set the over/under at 3. But to be honest with you, I hope we get 7. I set the over/under at 3. I'm hoping we get rid of 5. I will dump everybody but Irwin and Desjardins at this point.
And if Doug Wilson isn't figuring out a deal for Nia, he better be listening to offers.
So, I have no doubt he's listening to offers.
That being said,
there's been rumors of that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was saying there have been rumors about them shopping Niemi, so I'm imagining he's shopping. It's just a matter of if he can get the right deal for him.
Right. You can't be what's the word I'm looking for? You can't be too picky because look how great that Vanek deal turned out for the Islanders.
Vanek went to the Islanders?
Well, no. But then they quickly had to trade him to Montreal and they got jack crap for him. So
well, let's
buyer
move on.
Beware.
Let's move on to tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we host the Red Wings, and let's be honest, you have a little bit of an old rivalry. You go to the Shark Tank to see Detroit come to town. I am always amazed at the amount of red and white that just falls out of the woodwork. It's amazing. I never see anybody wearing Detroit Red Wings gear except that particular day. The rest of the year, nowhere to be found. I swear to God, it's like they're bussing them in from Michigan. I don't get it. But anyway, the rivalry, let's be honest, it's not as big as it used to be back when now that they're in the Eastern, it's just not the same as when they were in the Western Conference. But anyway, their record 33-15-11. Their last 10, they're 5-3-2. They're coming in. They got Howard.
Howard.
We'll see if the Sharks decide to show up to this one. If they, who knows? Who knows? Honestly, the Sharks, and it's such a trite cliche, but the Sharks are the box of chocolates in the Forrest Gump movie. So we will open it up tomorrow night. We'll find out what we get. if they get lucky. If they don't, who knows? But the next, I believe, 7 of 8 are at home before they go on the big road swing back east. And this, let's be honest, guys, this is the make it or break it time. These next home games, this next 7 of 8 at home, this is it. The next 8 is it. If they don't go at least over the next 8, if they don't go 6-2, I'm saying it's 6-2, 5-3. No, I'm gonna. Considering they're on the outside looking in, if they don't go 6-2, I'm calling it. I'm calling it. I'm putting the tag on the toe. I'm waving the white flag. I'm saying it's over. No more resuscitation. They stop breathing. It's done.
Yep. After the game on the 14th against the Blackhawks, they have 3 more home games out of that's. I'm just looking at that eyeballing. That's like 12, 15 games. So they have to get it together on this stretch at home,
and
they're done.
And don't think the Blackhawks aren't going to want a little bit of payback for the last game.
But they also have Kane out for a while with a broken collarbone.
Yeah. Really?
So, yeah.
We have a guy named Shepard that can help you out. Call us, Chicago. Call us.
Hey, it worked well for you with Hanzus. It could work out with you for Hannon and Shepard.
All right, we can trade you another third liner to help you win another cup. Call us.
I'm trying to look at I'm trying to remember the tweet. Yep, here we go. All right, so you will. I think tomorrow and March 12th are the last game. Wait, hang on. What are you laughing at?
Oh, I'm sorry. You gotta see the Twitter, man. Fucking King Shark, man. Daryl. No. Between Patrick and Daryl, it's surprising that I can get through this without laughing the entire way through. It just says if Eddie Lack shits the bed, in nets backing up Ryan Miller, says the Vancouver Sun headline will read Canucks lacking in net.
Oh, Daryl. To get back to what I was trying to say, it looks like the Sharks will be wearing black jerseys for the second to last time on tomorrow and March 12th. The rest of the time they will be in their Stadium Series jerseys, which is great.
This is only on Thursdays?
Yeah, it sounds like there's 2 more dates that the Sharks will wear their outdoor jerseys, and then 2 more times they will wear those god-awful, cursed black armor jerseys.
Thank God.
And we should expect a new jersey, a new third jersey for next season.
Whoa. Wait, what?
You heard me.
We're getting a new third jersey. Okay. If it is anything other than a reproduction of the inaugural jersey, I am going to go to the Shark Tank on opening night with my Matt Irwin that's sitting behind me. Oh, you can't. Well, it's leaning over there in the corner. My Matt Irwin hockey stick, and I'm going to shove it so far up John Turturro's ass that he will taste maple for a week. Okay, do you get what I'm saying? It needs to be the inaugural jersey. Anything else would be unbelievably stupid. But considering everything that's happened under Turturro's era, I can't put it past him.
And with that, we will wrap this up. You can find us on Twitter. I am PuckGuy14.
I'm at ChrisJWS.
And somebody's been drinking way too much, as he's showing you right now. That guy is...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on mute. AJ_Strong.
Was that all the beers you had before the show?
Yes, it was just those 3, but the first one had like an above 11 ABV, which is it's bad.
It's very bad, kind of like the Sharks' home record right now as the 8th worst in the NHL. With that,
hold on. Are we going again tomorrow night after the game?
I can't, so probably not, unless you guys want to.
I could do a super short one, but that would be it.
Okay, so in other words, we're probably not going tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. Follow us. Do us a favor if you could. If you had a good time, hit the subscribe button down there. Follow us on Twitter, like you said, at ChrisJWS, at PuckGuy14. I'm at AJ_strong. Follow us on Twitter. We follow back.
Mm-hmm. And at Pucknology. That is the primary one. So with that, we bid you farewell. Good night. Keep it real. Keep it fresh. Keep it real fresh. Please win tomorrow.